Meantime, we are seeing traffic impacts from today's tragic crash. They've lifted mostly. We do see some lane closures, and it looks like there will be some likely to remain into the early morning hours.
WCNC Charlotte's Julia Kaufman explains what closures you might still need to look out for during tomorrow's morning commute. She joins us from South Tryon Street.
Things have cleared up and are moving along here on South Tryon near the 77 interchange. But earlier today, cars were gridlocked for miles as police worked to investigate and clear the crash. Road closures near the scene caused severe backups on South Tryon, South Boulevard, and their connecting streets Tuesday afternoon.
It's been pretty insane.
The helicopter crashed on a grass clearing next to 77 South near Tyvola Road, shutting down all lanes of the highway for several hours as rush hour and holiday traffic piled in.
Just trying to get home, and as soon as I can. Big Thanksgiving plans to travel tomorrow, so got to get home and get packed.
This time lapse of 77 South, just 2 miles north of the scene, showing no end in sight to traffic. Around 5 o'clock, 2 left lanes on 77 South near Nations Ford Road reopened to alleviate some congestion. But patience wore thin for many, causing several close calls for accidents. Despite frustration for commuters, driver Seth Wyatt says it's a small price to pay for the lives lost.
Being in traffic is probably the least of our worries, compared to what happened to those people.
As the NTSB and the FAA continue their investigation, CMPD says police will be working through the night and asks drivers to avoid the affected area of 77 South as much as possible. The right lane of Tyvola Road that leads to 77 South will be closed until 6 tomorrow morning. In South Charlotte, Julia Kaufman, WCNC Charlotte.
This crash happened as people were set to hit the roads for Thanksgiving travel, so already congested roads made even worse. Shamaria Morrison continues our team coverage tonight, looking at the other parts of Charlotte that were affected by today's crash.
Just behind us, a crash of a helicopter. It's going to be days, weeks, months. Federal investigators will be continuing to try to find out what happened and why it happened. Where we are on I-77 southbound, a stretch of grass is where a helicopter unfortunately crashed, but around it, a busy highway. There was a school nearby. There was also businesses nearby as well. Despite all of this, a pilot able to navigate just a small stretch of land without having any additional injuries to those surrounding the area. And as we have reported on this tragic incident, those at WBTV have also continued to report on this tragic incident as their colleagues are mourning the loss of 2 of their own. Shamaria Morrison, WCNC Charlotte.
And we've heard a lot about TAG's heroics, maneuvering that chopper to a place where no one else would be hurt. We spoke with TV consultant who helped integrate helicopter coverage into news stations around the country. He says news pilots in particular have to manage so many things while up in the air.
Television news helicopter reporting is incredibly exciting, but it's also incredibly dangerous. These pilots have a lot to deal with. If they're covering a breaking news story, they're over the scene of an incident. Often there's other news helicopters or police helicopters in the region. So these pilots, are constantly communicating with the other helicopters while they're also communicating with, the air traffic controllers and also communicating with personnel at the station who are coordinating the breaking news event. So, flying a helicopter is inherently dangerous and also very demanding. And then you add breaking news coverage or any kind of news coverage on top of that. So it's just another layer of complexity for the pilot.
At this point, the investigation is in the early stages and it'll be a while before the results are released. WCNC is taking a closer look into the type of helicopter used. It turns out this particular make and model is most often used for TV news and traffic coverage and for tours and sightseeing. Federal data we've analyzed show the Robinson R-44 has crashed more than any other helicopter since 2018. Exactly 480 times to be exact. This Now the 36th crash this year, according to the records we reviewed. Attorneys who filed lawsuits against the company told us the helicopter can be unforgiving, even for the best pilots.
It's a helicopter that was designed to be affordable. And what's unfortunate about the helicopter is it also requires, what we're finding and what our experts tell us, is an exceptional ability to fly a helicopter. So you need to be not just the average, pilot, you need to have some exceptional skills in order to fly this helicopter. And that's because of the way that it was designed.
Federal data show the helicopter involved in today's crash was made in 1999. We've reached out to the manufacturer, Robinson Helicopter Company, for comment, but haven't yet heard back.
And the outpouring of support we've seen, meantime, from the community has been certainly strong. Taking a look at some of the social support that we're seeing, North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper tweeting this today. This is a terrible tragedy, he says, for the WBTV family, and we are praying for them and all of those in the media who work so hard to keep the public informed. We're also seeing the city of Charlotte weighing in with their condolences, tweeting, "This is a heartbreaking situation to hear of the stories of Jason Myers and Chip Tagg from their colleagues." But they offer a glimpse of how important they both were to the WBTV News family and our community. And once again, sharing condolences here. We're seeing Mayor Pro Tem Braxton Winston tweeting, "Let us not take for granted the sacrifice and service of journalists like Jason and Chip who work to ensure we have the information we need to go about our lives day to day." And we're also seeing the police chief of CMPD, Johnny Jennings, saying this, quote, "Our friends at WBTV News are in our thoughts and prayers. I know Chip and Jason were valued team members, and we mourn with you during this tragedy." Just a few of the condolences that we are seeing in words of support in this difficult time.